And now we arrive at the final conversation of Webit 2026 Sofia. After a full day of ideas, strategies, warnings, opportunities, and visions for the AI era, we close with one defining question: who will win the AI decade? This is not only a question about technology, it is a question about power, infrastructure, trust, regulation, capital, talent, leadership, and execution. Because the AI era is no longer simply beginning. It is already reorganizing economies, industries, governments, healthcare, infrastructure, and human behavior itself. The countries, companies, and leaders who move fastest now and who build responsibly, adapt intelligently, and earn trust will shape the next decade. To guide this final discussion, please welcome our moderator, Marina Tsekova, anchor at Nova TV. Joining her on stage, Christoph Kampitsch, Chief Executive Officer of Scytale Digital, Dessi Sevdina, Managing Director and Head of Strategy at Marsh, Sandipan Bhaumik, Data and AI Technical Lead at Databricks, and Peter Baltadjiev, Executive and CS Board Chair at Oracle. Together, they will explore what separates AI winners from AI losers, whether Europe can still become an AI leader, how smaller and more agile economies like Bulgaria can move faster, and what the world may look like by 2030. Please welcome them to the stage for our closing discussion. Who will win the AI decade?
Good afternoon from me again. I'm very glad to be here with all of you for our final discussion. I know that you already got the chance to talk and to hear to some of our speakers today, but now it's our chance to close up everything that we've heard so far. And of course, you will also get the chance to ask your questions if you still have some left. As you already heard, who will win the AI decade? This will be the core question that we are going to discuss in the next half hour. So let's start with this very question. Where do you think AI leadership will be decided over the next decade?
It will be the companies that adapt fast, companies that adopt fast, and companies that make AI part of their core operational system. Also, company that would be able to integrate culture, because a lot of companies are constitute of different generations. So we have Gen Z, millennials, we have baby boomers even. So they adopt and understand AI in a different way, which then means that without, again, I mentioned something earlier, without the human intervention, it wouldn't work. But then there would be a different approach based on what generation we're talking about, because some of them will adopt, some of them already use, because it's an extension of the way they see things altogether, not only professionally. So that is a pivotal moment. And again, reiterating, the structure or the maturity model would be human AI, human AI.
Thank you. Is this also your formula for the way that AI is going to work in the future, or you have a different answer to the very same question, where the AI future will be decided?
I think, I think the organizations who will succeed with AI will treat AI as an operational initiative rather than a technical initiative. And what I mean by that is we, as a workplace, to integrate AI, need to change our foundations on how we work in an organization. So whether it is building the right foundations for AI to consume, so giving AI the right kind of data, the context, the knowledge it needs to operate within our organization, having it understand our culture, and having it understand how we operate as a business, and build those capabilities that can be repeatedly executed to onboard new AI use cases.
Okay, thank you. You haven't used the word human as you did. What would be your answer to the questions? Are we taking the humans into this equation, or we are leaving it behind for now?
I think the humans will come with it. Ultimately, my view and maybe the way my company's perspective is that, yeah, you have to have a clear strategy. I know I'm the head of strategy, so maybe I'm biased, but I do think ultimately strategy is a coherent set of actions that you put together as a firm or as a country or as a research laboratory, and you're seeking to respond to a certain impetus or catalyst as to why. So I think those that win with AI, like my peer here said, is really how is it going to work as part of your day-to-day, your workflow, your operations, how does it enable you? But I think you really have to be clear with the why. The how will come because we've always had industrial revolution, then we had internet, cyber, now we have AI. It is a tool. So if you're going to win ahead in a generation, it's more of how you're going to use it and why, ultimately. Otherwise, you might just be one of thousands and thousands that just have it. So I think the why is really important.
Are these also your core questions, or you have a different answer to this one?
I have a bit of a different view on all of that. I think I have a very simple answer to it. When you ask what I think will be the next decade, where it will happen. So instead of saying companies will implement that, for sure humans will be important, let's hope we will all be around in 10 years' time, no one knows. In my opinion, it is very simple. It's going to be a race between the US and China. Europe will be left behind, and no one knows what's going to happen, because what you could see now is what is needed is a shit ton of money, a shit ton of power, energy, which Europe has no plan to start or has no clue. They start a task force in the European Union and hope something will happen. What we saw with Anthropic, that was the first time that one model was switched off for non-US citizens. So the people underestimate what it means if you don't build your own AI infrastructure, if you don't build your own data centers, if you don't build your own power generation. You will be just left behind, because of course now the models are building up, they're going to get stronger and stronger, but there will be a time when you won't need the data anymore because the models will be there. What you will need is to power the energy to do that. And I don't see that happening in Europe at all. That's my maybe a controversial view, but that's what I see what is happening.
I feel Dessi disagrees on that. Am I correct?
I wouldn't say it's a huge disagreement. I do know what you mean. I think ultimately Europe still has today one of the high counts of data centers. Definitely the US has the highest number of them. Then it's Europe and the Middle East, and then now Asia. And Asia Pacific will be growing at a faster rate than maybe we are. So certainly I think the European energy transition, though, is top of mind. I think it's critical, and I do think they understand the wattage that's needed to power this. But
it's not. You can't switch on nuclear power plants in 10 days.
Yeah,
Germany was very proud that they shut them down. Not in a little bit of trouble there. I think if you want to be a leader there, then you need to change the infrastructure completely. And you need to change the educational system, because in the end, who are the bright minds? The bright minds are those people who maybe are at university now or will be going to university soon. And what's happening is all the smart kids bugger off to San Francisco and join one of the companies there. I mean, I can give you one example. I don't know who knows about Peter Steinberger of OpenClaw from Austria. So he did a big revolution with all his agents. You heard of him, I guess. So what did he do? He joined OpenAI in San Francisco. So because why? You have a completely different tax system. Why would you want to live in a high-tax country if you can work from anywhere? And that's what the people are underestimating also in Europe. Yeah, you need to be attractive for the young people, because if you don't have a manual labor, you can do the work from everywhere. And I don't see that anywhere here. Sorry, don't.
Would you stand for Europe, or it's already decided here?
I've got a couple of couple of points to make. It's a hype on data center builds at the moment. Europe has a lot of, I agree with you, Europe has a lot of data center builds initiatives at the moment. America leads, yes. Texas in particular, but because of taxation, and that's what America did, that's what Texas did, attracted a lot of investors, huge companies because of taxes. But I'd say one thing, a slightly different focus on the data centers piece. With AI and the advancements of AI, there will be a moment where there won't be need for so many data center infrastructures right now. So there's a hype at the moment, a lot of funds and a lot of companies are investing in data centers, but there'll be the market will be oversaturated, and at some point, all that infrastructure will become obsolete. Yeah. So we need to be aware of this. And then why America is one of the biggest in data center field is because of the regulation, because it's one country, one regulation. Europe is super fragmented. We have, in America, we have Californian law for data privacy. Here we have GDPR. But
you have no capital market.
Yeah. So there's there's a big fragmentation from a regulatory perspective, which then means more challenges to adopt, adapt, and deploy.
Yeah, no, I agree on the data centers. Like we invested in a project which wants to decentralize with old mobile phones where you can build your own rack. That's what Google is currently going down that road as well. But that's going to be, I don't know, for what is needed. There will be a lot of mobile phones needed. Yeah, but I just don't see the innovation here in Europe.
Okay, if we step, okay, you can answer and then
very quickly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
There's an innovation. Take energy sectors as an example. AI is plugged into can be plugged into some of the companies' operational backbone to reduce consumption of energy and switch on, switch off some pivotal processes. What that means for that companies, they may jumpstart that company may jumpstart into the national grid, or companies like national grid, so for them to be connected. So that already provides effectiveness and efficiency powered by AI. So that's what I'd say on that.
If we make a step back from the future and look at the reality, because I guess there are still a lot of companies who are not ready to implement AI at all, not speaking about data centers or the future of this technology in their companies. Tell me, what do you think is the biggest readiness gap that you feel that the enterprises are facing before they at least try using AI in their companies?
Yeah, what I see day to day when I work with my customers is defining success is a really tricky thing. You put a CEO, CTO, CFO, CRO together in a room and let them describe what success means for a particular business initiative. Everyone has a different opinion, and each of these opinions are correct from that person's perspective. So what happens ultimately is you come up with some success metrics or some definition of success which doesn't align with each and every leader, and that kind of trickles down into the further downstream decisions and the technology that you build. So I think the readiness gap that I see is defining success very clearly that can be measured over time and can be built upon, in an incremental fashion.
Thank you. Speaking about defining success, can you define the successful companies who will win in this AI decade that we keep on talking about?
Yeah. I think for me, the successful companies that could implement AI are definitely those that maybe have that communication, that internal alignment. Like speaking of government, that's probably not what they're known for, but companies can achieve that at scale and align on what success is, where should the AI come in, the parameters as to why they would implement AI, which I mentioned earlier. I think, when I look at our firm and similar competitors, we all have very similar offerings. We are all implementing AI. I think the danger actually is rushing to be first, trying to say, oh, we've got this, and sending on the press releases constantly week by week is what we see. I think that's the danger where you will stumble as a firm because I think you will lose line of sight as to what was the success that we were seeking. Why did we invest? I think speaking of investment, not only is it very costly for governments to make sure the infrastructure is in place, it's very costly for companies to spend money on AI or other technology tools. We make human capital decisions, and then we make the expenditure on technology, IT, et cetera. So for us, every single dollar or euro counts. And that's what we're always thinking about. Why are we doing this? I think if you don't have that clear, coherent system internally and why something fits and works for you, that's probably where I think companies will fail. But those who are successful, they have a very clear vision as to why they implement something, how it enables them. It's very then difficult to replicate. So I think when we talk about strategy, it's always about competitiveness. Why should someone come to my firm as opposed to my competitor that can offer something? But it's that almost intangible coherence, and that's where you win, because we may offer a product, we may offer consulting services because I have the human experts, but they may be enabled by AI that it's just so hard to replicate that combination elsewhere.
You speak about this competitive advantage, and how far do you think AI can be and assure this competitive advantage and not the opposite?
Well, I think it's just one point where when you ask before what do you think is going to be the most successful companies in the future, I mean, always the same, the one with the highest revenues and the one with the highest market cap, yeah. I mean, SpaceX or Anthropic is trading on hot air at $1 trillion with everyone with a lot of hopium there. You never know. But I think what the people underestimate, you had a slide that Marsh has 95,000 employees. How many of that are in middle and back office? 60,000?
Yeah.
70,000? In 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, there won't be any back office, any more mid office in any of the insurance companies, banking, where you have like now 2/3 of the people doing very manual jobs, which won't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Of course, the profit will skyrocket at this time, but the problem, you all of a sudden have an army of unemployed people with in their probably, I don't know, 30s, between 50s, and you don't know what to do with them. And I think this is the much bigger issue which we are facing. I mean, the success metrics will always be the same as long as we're in a free market society. The question is if AI will exist in a free market society in 10 years' time. This is something I can't answer, but I heard a lot of talks where some very smart AI people have a very doom and gloom scenario which says if this continues on this log scale, and very few people can think exponentially, I can't, but those people can, and what they see could be a very different future what we're seeing right now.
Because Peter, you said that humanism is a very important word in this equation. Does it sound the future scenario the way that Christoph described it?
I don't want to be on a negative side. I firmly believe that we have the grip on this right now as a process, and to what extent we let it run. There's always going to be the desire for someone to be faster, bigger, better, well-positioned. That we cannot control. You're right about the fact that the back office will probably be mostly automated. It's happening now, actually, with banking. But then there's also the component of adaptability, and there's also the component of how do we use our transferable skills as people that may have been impacted by that, and then what do we make of that by using AI? And this is probably an HR problem rather than an AI problem, because HR specialists would need to think, how do I equip and arm my labor force?
But I think, sorry,
to be competitive.
Just one thing. I think it's not even an HR problem. I think it's a societal problem.
I agree, actually.
Because HR won't solve the army of middle management not knowing what to do.
Probably I'm thinking business-wise, but then we can expand that into, it's a society problem. But if we look at something else, there's industries that have scarcity of labor that doesn't need technology in. For example, low-skilled labor in the UK, there's scarcity of that. People that build buildings, and businesses will always need a physical space, of whether that's, I don't know, places we live in, and etc. So there's going to be a bit of a shock. Like anything, Industrial Revolution created a shock, right? But people didn't cease to exist, they just transferred. And we talked about that earlier. One of the biggest advantages of us as humans is our adaptability and ability to evolve. So, I mean, future is not dark in my opinion, but let's see.
But let's be honest, do big companies care about this army of unemployed people that Christoph just talked about? And are the companies the ones who are going to solve the societal problems, I guess? No. So where should companies, in your perspective, direct their goals? To care about the people that are working for them at the moment, or invest in technological solutions that would move them forward as a company?
So I'm on the, when you bring human into AI, and like we talk about whether AI is going to replace the human workforce, and I'm kind of in the cliche camp, really. So like I always I'm very bullish that humans will evolve with how as AI gets into the workspace, and what that means is we will bring in new skills and new roles. Yes, there will be shock, there will be layoffs, and we are already seeing it, but gradually, I'm already seeing a lot of young people working with AI, bringing in really fresh ideas in every business, and I wonder like how fast they have caught up. So I think when it comes to businesses investing in technology versus human talent, I think it needs to happen in a balance. Yes, technology will come in, but how do we, ultimately what I believe is technology is for the societal improvement and progress. What leaders need to decide on is what success looks like in that front. We work backwards from business workflows into deciding where technology will take a part in that business workflows, but where humans will take a part and override some of those decisions that AI make as well. So it's a balance that needs to be hit.
You spoke a lot about the disadvantages that Europe is facing at the moment, but do you think that smaller economies like ours here in Bulgaria also have some competitive advantages, or we should prepare for the worst here?
No, I don't think so.
Expand, please.
No, I mean, look, I come from Austria. We're roughly the same amount of people, roughly the same economy. Maybe we're still a little bit richer, but in the end, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, you've better food here. It's more tasty. Wine is same, I guess. Yeah.
Yours is good as well.
Yeah. No. You can see. But the thing is, no, there's no advantage of being a small country. There's no zero. It's like you don't have, you can't invest in infrastructure as needed. You need to be in a bigger environment for those kind of things. I mean, I repeat myself when I say what you need to do is try to push universities, try to research and try to keep the people here. But I mean, you probably have many examples of people very smart, going to university there, getting an offer from Silicon Valley, and off they go. You can't keep them here. And
yeah, but still now there is a trend that more and more people are coming back for a smaller country like Bulgaria, just because you can also now work from your home thanks to the technologies.
Yeah, but it's also, one thing is like where you have the concentration of minds, like in Silicon Valley, and they try to recreate it in Europe, but it never, it didn't happen anywhere. It's like, because people think, yeah, let's do Silicon Valley in, I don't know where, London or whatever, or Frankfurt or whatever. It just, you need, look, the Americans say, and I'm not American. You're not American either.
I am.
You are. So you should answer that. It's like, okay, you have 3 failures, then you post about your failures at dinner parties, and then you go to your first startup, and then you succeed. In Europe, you have 1 failure, you get shot in the foot because it's a shame. That's the Americans have a mentality of winning at all costs. The Europeans are, they're shy. They're, they want to be nice and polite, and it's a change is needed to be successful. I don't know if it's possible or not. You should answer that for Bulgaria.
Can Europe and Bulgaria do something in terms of being faster and more competitive and more interesting, let's say, from a technological point of view?
Yeah, sure. I think there is a tension that we should be mindful of always, whether it's in business or innovation. It is the short term and the long term, right? So I know the short term, and I spoke about that earlier. It is very frustrating at times how slow it may feel, how long it takes, especially because Europe has a lot more compliance than the US. I think it would be hard to change quickly our cultural differences. Me being based in London for a while, of course there's cultural differences. As an American, I'm very optimistic. I want to go fast. I don't like anyone saying no to me. But I think as a European, of course, I know that the long term is that, yes, the compliance is built to protect people. There's social benefits that Americans do not have, right? So there's pluses and minuses where Americans probably would wish that they had some of the benefits and the security of their benefits and lifestyle and pensions and et cetera that Europeans have. So it is a very capitalist society. We don't necessarily have that in Europe. It doesn't mean that there's no innovation, right? Businesses continue to grow. I think there's very, very intelligent people. I think me coming back from 10 years old to, I'm not going to say my age, but I'm in my 30s now. But I can see the progress and how, I do see people returning to Bulgaria. I see a lot of foreigners even today that have actually moved to Bulgaria to start up businesses in technology. I have friends who run global startups who have offices in Bulgaria because of the software mindset and that science and mathematics education. So I don't think it's a lost cause. I think it's the frustration of Europeans are a bit more, we think of the long term and how, is it secure, is it safe, is it going to work? Americans are very short term focused, so it's like go, 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 and then let's just see how it goes. But if something goes wrong, then a couple years they'll have to say, oh, we have to stop this, and now there's regulations and laws in place.
Okay, because we have only 4 minutes left, can you, one sentence, please?
I just want to add one thing. I think it can easily be fixed, because what the people underestimate is the European market is bigger than the American market. We have like, I don't know, 380 people, whatever, million people. You need a common capital market because there's scarcity of capital, what America has, yeah. And you need to break down the regulatory burdens. Then it could work, but good luck for...
Impossible to happen anyway. I got your point, I think we all did. So we have 4 more minutes, so 1 minute each for our last question. What do you think is the one thing that each leader in this room should do or invest in the next 12 months as to prepare for the AI decade?
I think if you look at it from an executive perspective, you talked about the fact that there's no common opinion about what's the strategy going to be. And I think that this is the key to success, aligning on the business objectives and looking at the business outcome, almost projecting it, and then working, reverse engineer the whole process to achieve it. So I think that this would be the key. And then again, I keep believe that people are the driver of that. So call me naive, I don't know. But also at the same time, touching on the topic previously, it's all about a choice. Yes, there's always going to be better places for us to work. There's always going to be better opportunities somewhere else. But there's a point, and I come from a position where I've chosen to be somewhere else rather than the country I was born in. But at the same time, there was always coming a moment where you want to create something rather than to take. So I think that at some point choice becomes personal, and if it comes down to us having ability to make a change, I think that we should do that.
Okay, your answer?
Yeah, so I regularly work on technical projects, so I'll give you a technical answer to this. I think to be successful, you need to define success metrics, what success means on a particular initiative. You have to build the measurement infrastructure to actually measure that in an ongoing basis. So I call it the data to decision loop. What that means is that in your organization, do you have the data to trace back the decisions that you make? And can you look at the data and actually decide what you want to decide on a particular business initiative? And only then, once you have these two pieces, success metrics and decision loop, you think about the technology that comes last. Don't think about the model in the beginning. It's just an API access away to use a model. If you have a measurement infrastructure, you can actually measure which model works better for different use cases. I think so. Start from success, build the measurement architecture, and then choose technology and create this loop so that it can be the foundation for success.
Okay, thank you. Dessi?
My response would be maybe as a leader, give your team time or give yourself time in the next 12 months to really think about, I'll stay on the topic of AI, but think about where do you need it, educate yourself, and don't be a blocker for your team and your colleagues to bring AI in. I think the leadership, the C-suite executives of Marsh globally, there's hours spent on AI and educating so that we don't block those below us, the younger generation, or just those that are more curious and work with it day to day. The worst thing that you can do is actually block teams from being innovative, bringing ideas to the business, looking at a particular problem to be solved. It's very easy for us to come top down and say, oh, we'll just buy a model and everyone gets it. That just doesn't solve much. It's not as innovative either. So for the next 12 months, I would encourage everyone just to make sure that you're educating yourself by helping your teams get educated, find expertise, seek out content, and then have that success story really mapped out and really think about where you can invest in the future.
Okay. Your last sentence?
Yeah, I mean, I would make it even more simple. I think what you should do is look after yourself, because this generation or people around here at this age will live for a very long time due to changes in healthcare. Also, AI will help for that. Pursue your passion, be it a yoga teacher, a tennis coach, because in the end, people will like to hang out with each other, not with robots or chatbots. And don't worry too much because no one knows what's going to happen anyway, and do what you enjoy.
Okay, thank you very much to all four of you. But before we move to the robots that are about to conquer the stage in a minute or two, I would like to give 2 minutes for questions in case there are some questions. Be brave, come on. You have the best experts now on stage. Someone?
Everyone is tired.
Yeah.
They know everything. That's why they don't ask questions. Okay. So if there are no questions from the audience, then please applaud our guests at our last section of the conference. I think they did great, and I hope they will answer your questions afterwards in case you are brave enough to ask them afterwards. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The AI decade has begun.